Everyone, welcome back to today's Love Transformation class. And I know everyone can relate to the concept of self-love, but we don't always do self-love in a way that really serves us. And I'm excited to talk to Sabi today, who is a self-love expert. We've got some juicy stuff that I think are going to give you some really, really good takeaways. Welcome, Sabi.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Let's just dive right in because I know that everyone has heard of self-love. Let's peel that back and talk about what the difference is and why we're even talking about this on a love summit, right?
Totally. And I think that the term self-love gets kind of flung around so much these days. It seems really cliche. But it's almost like it's cliche for a reason. It's because it's so important. Self-love is not just massages and bubble baths and getting a facial. Those are great self-care activities which can make you feel really good, and like go do it if that feels good for you. But self-love goes so much deeper than that. Self-love is like this unconditional acceptance of you as you are right now. Self-love is really this almost like a homecoming, a releasing of all of the layers and the conditioning that you've received that say you're not good enough. And self-love is like a returning back to your essence, the you that is perfect just as you are, the you that is enough, the you that is for you in every moment. And really for me, like, self-love encompasses all of the spiritual work we ever do, all of the self-development work you do, any spiritual book you read. Like, self-love is in there. Self-love is coming home to you. And when you operate from that space, you're able to make decisions in your work, in your relationships, in your dating life, from a space where you're really for yourself.
I've got loads of questions for you, so this is going to be amazing. But I really want to dive into why self-love is so important when it comes to manifesting partnerships. And we're obviously going to talk a little bit about how we do self-love well and all of that. But why does it really matter when it comes to relationships and attraction and dating, do you think?
Yeah, it's everything. When it's not there, so much of the time we see women and men that are seeking relationships so that they can feel good, seeking relationships to make them happy, seeking relationships to validate themselves. And just like when you're manifesting anything, this goes for relationships, it also goes for money, it also goes for desiring like your dream body or your dream home. When you've got that goal in mind and you're like, once I've got the man, I'm gonna be happy. Once I've got that much money in my bank account, my life's gonna be transformed. Maybe for, a little moment, a little bit, that might feel true, but soon enough the cracks start to show, because like the foundational work still needs to be done. And so it's like the shift comes when you seek or desire relationships not to feel happy, not because you need to be validated, but like, I love me already. I know I'm incredible and great and worthy already, and I'm desiring this relationship, and this is an addition to the love that I already have for me. I'm not expecting this person to give me the things that I can't give myself yet.
What do you see are some of the, I guess, the key differences? So how would we know, or how would we notice if we're really lacking in enough self-love, or if we do have enough? What do you see the key differences between a woman who's really, really embodying self-love and someone who might need to do a little bit more work because it's impacting areas of life?
First of all, I think it's important to note that self-love is a journey, and we're all human, and we're all, me included, going to have days where we're feeling like, oh, I feel a little shitty today, oh, I don't like that's totally normal, and we're human, and no one needs to be this superhuman that is just like 10 out of 10 self-love every single day. But that being said, if you're continuously, going on date after date and just wanting the guys to be showering you with whatever kind of love feels good for you, and when it's not there, you're not feeling so good about you. When you're just needing to someone else, and it could be a romantic partner, it could even be friends or family, when you only feel good about yourself when someone else is validating that you're good enough, then that's something to check in with. And I think you can see when someone's full of self-love, because it's almost like it's intangible. It's almost like we can't quite explain in words, but you can feel their energy. You can sense that they're radiating this energy of enoughness, almost this energy of like abundance. Self-love is an abundant energy. It's like this feeling of there is enough, there is enough here, and you can feel that in the energy of a person when you're with them. They're not needing you. They're maybe wanting and desiring you, absolutely, but they're not needing you. And I think that is a real difference.
And do you think that difference is obvious to men when it comes to attraction and dating?
I think definitely, absolutely. It works both ways too, but I know, it's women that are here for this summit. Yeah, absolutely. We can sense the energy of someone that is truly in their power, is radiating self-love, is in their radiance, is knowing that they're incredible and great. And this is not from a like showy, show-offy, egotistical way, but just in a really I know I'm worthy. I know I'm incredible. Versus someone that's feeling really insecure all the time, is comparing themselves all the time, is really needy, is wanting the man to say all these things and do all these things so that they can feel a certain way. That energy definitely comes across in dating.
When you're working with your clients and mentoring them or coaching them to become more filled with their own self-love, what sort of changes do you notice in them, and how does that journey often look?
First and foremost, it's an energy change. It's an energy shift. It's an energy shift, and I've had clients say to me, almost like they can't quite put it into words, but they just feel like they put themselves first in a way that they didn't before. They feel like they're 100% for themselves when they weren't before. They feel like, I'm the shit, I'm amazing, when that definitely wasn't there before. And I think that's where it starts, from that energy shift, from that inner knowing of just I am so for me. And once you have that energy shift, that then filters out into every area of your life. You show up in, your friendships differently. You can speak up for yourself more. You show up in your work differently. You can demand the money that you deserve to be paid. You show up in your relationships totally differently. You can communicate your desires. You no longer people please, because you really value what you want and what you want to say. And so, every single part of your life begins to shift when you know that you're enough, when you truly value yourself. And that's why I love this work, because it's literally it ripples out into every corner.
So it sounds like there's a really strong correlation between self-confidence and self-love, would you say?
Yeah, totally. For me, self-love feels like, and there is no one definition for self-love either, but self-love feels like the umbrella term for which every other kind of thing is under. Yeah, when you're self-loving, you absolutely have more confidence in you. Totally. You don't need to be anybody else. You don't need to filter yourself or hide who you are. You can just show up as you because you know you're enough. And that is such a game changer, because it's exhausting. It's exhausting to be someone you're not, to go on date after date and be thinking like, oh, like maybe he'll like me if I do this, or maybe I should pretend that I like the same films that he likes, or I should like, yeah, go to that restaurant because he suggested it. That is so exhausting, to continuously modify yourself to fit someone else's expectations. That's not sustainable either. So allowing you to just like release all of that and just show up as you it's the most liberating thing ever.
What are some of the things the common things that you see that are sort of really blocking us from really feeling that full degree of love?
Yeah, definitely a fear of being rejected, a fear of, if I show up as me, and they don't like it, like, oh my, like, yeah, that's a massive one. So it's almost like we do all of these things, all of these other things, so that we are liked, so that someone will approve of us. But what we don't realize when we do that is that they're actually not approving of us. They're approving of this fake version of us because we weren't showing them who we were. So it's like, you're not doing you or them a favor, because they're not actually loving who you are. You're not letting them really see you. And letting yourself be truly seen is the most vulnerable thing ever, right? And this is why love and relationships so transformational, they're so powerful, but they like rip you wide open to be truly seen in your vulnerability. And for many people that is terrifying, and it's way easier to kind of not do that fully. So yeah, that fear of rejection and fear of being seen in your rawness, I think, is a really big one.
I can totally relate, and that's massive. And probably, I mean, most women probably can, but growing up in Australia, we definitely have this tall poppy culture, which is really kind of to knock anyone down that seems to be succeeding. And there's this real culture of like, you need to be humble and you don't want to come across as bragging or showing off or all of that. And it absolutely has an effect on our ability to be really authentic and raw and to embody that self-love, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I say again and again to my clients, the women I work with, like, you're not showing off just because you're loving you. Like, you're really not. You can be self-loving in such a humble way. And in fact, when you fully like embrace you and love you and celebrate you, most of the time people are actually inspired by that. People are actually inspired by that. You like are almost like showing other people what it looks like, and people are like, like I want some of what she's got. Like, how can I feel how she feels? And when we're talking about relationships, like, self-love is the most attractive quality in a woman. You know, like, when a woman is magnetic to a man, when she is so full of her, own self-love, when she is radiating, when she is, yeah, just so knowing that she is enough, that is the most attractive thing ever. So whenever anyone says like, how do I begin to attract a man, or to attract this much money, or whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, like, work on you first, work on your energy first, because it's almost like the paradox of manifestation. If you take a moment to like just put the guy that you're calling in onto one side and focus fully on you and feeling so lit up in your skin, the thing that you're desiring is going to be really attracted to that. And so yeah, like, don't forget that is the most important thing. You first, and then your desires, yeah, absolutely, they're going to be attracted to you shining so brightly.
You talked about like this fear of rejection, right? And we often hear like, you shouldn't care what other people think, right? But that's easier said than done, isn't it?
Totally.
So once we start to feel more confident and we're feeling like we're embracing more of our own self-love, how do we get over this, like this fear of judgment of others or fear of what other people might say or might think? Like, what advice do you have about getting over that fear of rejection?
Yeah, totally. So first of all, I think just acknowledge that you're human and this is a normal thing to feel. And I don't know if, I mean, it's almost like with any fears, I don't know if the aim should ever be to eradicate them totally, because I know when I feel scared about something or I'm feeling fearful or I'm worried that I'm going to be rejected or abandoned, like that's just my humanness there. And I really like to celebrate that. And I really like to show that part of me so much love and compassion. And I think that's important too. Not like, oh, I shouldn't feel that, I'm going to push it away, but actually be with it. That's self-love too, right? Being with the feelings that feel more challenging, being with that, acknowledging that. And once you've given them that fear of rejection, in this case, some acknowledgement and some love, they start to have less of a hold on you. They actually start to, not influence how you show up so much. So it's like, yeah, I can acknowledge that this fear of rejection is there. I've acknowledged it, I've sat with it. Maybe you do a little meditation or a breathing exercise on it. And then it can be like, that's there. And I'm still going to show up anyway. And I'm still going to go on that date or maybe make the first move or like whatever it is in your individual situation. And for me, I see it as like a muscle. It's like every time you do that, you're building, that muscle of resilience of like, okay, I might get rejected, I might not. I'm going to do it anyway. And the more we do that, the more like, we grow that muscle of showing up anyway.
Yeah, okay. So what I'm hearing is just doing some things that are a little bit outside of our comfort zone that we might not have necessarily had the confidence to do because we were worried about what other people might think or say, and just give them a go.
Yeah, it sounds so simple, doesn't it?
That's it. Yeah.
Sometimes that, like that taking action piece, that doing the things that feel a little scary, and doing them anyway, like that is actually what we need to shift the needle.
Okay. I'm going to make a little note what I need to do to get outside my comfort zone. And I think we all should be doing that as well. So in terms of like the kind of practices or processes or thought patterns, what is it that we can and should be doing to help to improve this feeling of self-love?
Yeah, so many different things. Where to begin? I really love any practices that get you in your body. So for me, that's dancing. For you, for others, that might be something different. But dropping into the body as much as possible. Really being with you, self-touch, self-massage, especially like the things that we're so often desiring other people to do for us, and building up a practice of like, I can do that for me, I can hold me, I can give myself a little massage, and just allowing yourself to feel comfortable in your body in that way can be super, super powerful. I really love mirror work, a practice of when whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's affirmations in front of the mirror, whether it's just like eye gazing with yourself in front of the mirror, whether it's dancing in front of the mirror naked and really like appreciating you in your rawness, in your vulnerability. Those are all really beautiful practices of being with you. And I mean, more generally, in kind of every moment of the day, just checking in with where your thoughts are at, what you're feeling, and making it an ongoing practice of kind of awareness, like, like that thought maybe wasn't the most positive or wasn't the most uplifting, and just kind of acknowledging that and beginning to become really aware of how your thoughts are influencing maybe how you show up.
Okay, because I know for a lot of us, it can be a big stretch to go from sometimes those self-deprecating thoughts or this sort of lack of worthiness or this mean girl mindset that we, or self-talk that we might have, to then telling ourselves that we're beautiful, you're a goddess, you're this or that. We can say it, but we might not necessarily believe it, right? Are there sort of like step-by-steps that we can take to get there, or is it just a case of just repeating it and it eventually sinks in and our subconscious is hearing it? Like, how do we get from there to there?
Just acknowledge that we live in a world that profits off our lack of self-worth, a world that makes money telling us to buy this product, that car, that house, then you'll feel worthy, then you'll feel good enough. That's the world that we've been brought up in. So it's kind of like almost no wonder so many people don't feel good about themselves. So almost like give yourself the permission, drop the pressure of having to get 10 out of 10 on your self-love test straight away. I think so much of the time we when we put the pressure on ourselves, it actually doesn't help. And just see it as an ongoing, lifelong journey without an end date. And the first step is always awareness. And so many people go through their whole lives without even being aware that their thoughts are influencing how they show up. So the first step is always awareness and starting to become aware of what your triggering situations are. So by that, I mean, for some people, it might be scrolling on Instagram and seeing other women that are like, they think are beautiful. And that might be a trigger for them. Like, I could never look like her, or I could never have the man that she has, or the house that she has, or the money that she has. So for that person, they know, okay, I'm about to take out my phone and go to Instagram and start scrolling. That might trigger some feelings of I'm not worthy. And so once you know that triggering situation, the next time that you go on Instagram, you can be prepped and be like, I know that that's probably going to come up. So that awareness is already there. And you go into that Instagram scroll, and this is just an example, but whatever your trigger was, you can use this process. You go into that Instagram scroll knowing that that's about to come up. And so you can catch those thoughts as they arise, because it's almost like, we're so predictable as humans. Once you've started to do this work on yourself, you'll realize that these limiting beliefs and thoughts, they come up in the same moments every single time. And then when you're ready for them next time, you can be like almost like watching them from an observational space, like, yeah, like interesting, this came up. Okay, I see you. And I like to do like a little, almost like a meditation on it in the moment, like 5-10 seconds, like take a breath, observe what the thought was, and like just be with it. And then maybe if you have a more empowering belief that you've been kind of working on shifting it to, you can check in and remind yourself of that. So yeah, that's just kind of a little brief exploration maybe of something to begin with. And that is becoming really aware of what's present.
And I love that you use the example of Instagram and the way that we compare ourselves with other women as well. Lots of envy and sometimes jealousy can come up as well during that. But it seems like we've grown up in a society that really kind of pitches us to compare ourselves against other women, who's thinner, who's prettier, who has this, who has that. What's the best way to work through that? Because inherently we know we're all a soul coming in having a human experience, right? So I know that there's a spiritual approach to take from a self-love perspective. How do we work through those feelings of comparison and perhaps jealousy or envy of other women?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Releasing the idea that other women are our competition, and this is in relationships, but also every area of life. And like, there's enough for all of us. She can be beautiful, and so can I. She can have an amazing man, but I can too. She's not taking anything from me. there is still enough for me, whatever that thing is that I'm desiring. And once we realize that there really is enough for all of us, yeah, we see that she's no longer my competition. And instead of feeling triggered and like, oh, having that challenging feeling come up, I really like to shift jealousy and comparison into like inspiration. Like, she's actually showing me what I desire. Like, like she's got having that like beautiful honeymoon with the man of her dreams in the Maldives, say, and I'm like, say that you're feeling really jealous about that. And it's like, oh, she's just showing me how much I desire that for me. And that can now be really inspiring. That can be like, she's showing me it's possible, because if it's possible for her, I know it's possible for me too, because we need that. We often need to have visual examples of something for our brains to be like, oh, that could also happen for you. So that's what I like to do. I like to shift it into, yeah, she's just showing me what's possible.
And one thing I know, as you know, in Bali, there's lots of beautiful women, models in bikinis everywhere. And one of the things I notice is sometimes I catch myself looking at another woman and she's like supremely fit and beautiful and young and has great skin. And I'll be like, you know, you have this kind of like, oh, I wish I looked like that. But then what I also notice with me is it's also reminding me that health and fitness is also much higher value than what I'm giving myself. I'm investing in myself in at the moment too. So I think sometimes it can also enlighten us as to what, you know, if we're envying someone's success in their business, perhaps it's just maybe giving us a little tap on the on the shoulder and a reminder that this is something that really is a value of ours, and we need to perhaps put more time, attention and resources into it, right?
Totally. I love that. Yeah, it's like a reminder. It's like, yeah, I do want this too. Maybe I need to like direct a bit more of my energy to that thing.
I know that many of the girls that I work with and a lot of the women in our audience have this self-doubt that comes up when they're in the dating process, whether it's, you know, meeting a man in the early stages and really desiring him to choose her, even if she doesn't necessarily really like him particularly. We kind of all really want someone to be able to validate us back, or especially once we've started to develop feelings for someone, then feeling really nervous that as they get to know us and know more about us, they might not actually like us. How does self-love play into this, and what sort of things can we do to help those challenges?
Yeah, no, this is a massive one. You know, it's a human kind of need or desire to be liked back. You know, to feel wanted by someone that we're interested in. So first of all, just to acknowledge that's kind of normal. And almost to come back to what I said earlier, we are only doing ourselves and them a service when we show them who we really are. And it's like, if we show them who we really are and they're not so into us, they're as painful, and we are acknowledging that is painful. Like there's almost like there's no way around that. We need to stop trying to make it not painful. Like it is going to hurt if you like someone and they don't like you back, like, and that's okay. But the important thing to acknowledge is that person isn't your person. You know, it's like if you show someone who you really are and they decide you're not an aligned match for them, they've actually done you a service, because yeah, they've shown you that it's not meant to be. When you show up as you, fully as you, the person that's right for you will be attracted to you, like the real you. And that's what you want. You want someone to be attracted to the you in your vulnerabilities, the you, like not just the shiny you on the first date, right? The you 20 dates in that's crying on the bathroom floor. That's the person like you want to see you as. And I think it's, letting go totally of being someone that you're not to be liked, because as I said earlier, again, that's not sustainable. That's not sustainable for you. And yeah, it's it's the most powerful work ever, because you actually realize that you've got way more energy for you and for the person that you're dating when you can just show up as you. Yeah.
As far as it is feeling of always putting a man's opinion before us. So if anyone is actually having this experience right now where there's someone they're interested in, the feelings aren't reciprocated, we tend to default and think it's because we're not good enough, right? There's something about us that's just not enough. It triggers all of those kind of earlier childhood perhaps beliefs or wounds that we might have about not being enough, not being worthy, being broken. There's something wrong with me. No one's ever going to really love me. What would be a practice or something else that someone could do if they were sort of going through or experiencing that right now?
Yeah, so I really like to welcome in all feelings. And that for me, and I mentioned it earlier, is the biggest part of self-love. And I'll share a little mini practice that I like to do for that. But it's when we say like, I shouldn't feel like that, or like, oh, like I should be more self-loving, I shouldn't let this affect me so much, like I should be able to get over this. It actually takes us longer to get to that space of getting over it. And yet when we acknowledge like, oh, that hurt, like I feel upset that he doesn't feel the same way, when we acknowledge that and we give that part of us love, we actually get to the more radiant, empowered version that got over him, or whatever the situation is. Like we get to that version of us sooner. So a little practice I like to do, yeah, I call it like an emotional processing practice, is, so it's kind of like a meditation and breath work. You might just be there for 5 or 10 minutes, you might sit there and do this for a whole hour, but find a space to sit. Close your eyes. So this might be at a time when you're feeling really upset or frustrated, maybe you just got rejected. Close your eyes and just begin to like acknowledge what those feelings are. Acknowledge what you're feeling, the anger, the sadness, the rejection, the frustration. Acknowledge what they are. Say them, give them a label, and then acknowledge, like, can I feel this anywhere in my body? Like this frustration, is it like tension in my chest? My like hands tense, like my shoulders feeling sore? Like how is my body feeling about these emotions that are present in me right now? And then once that's there, once you know what you're feeling, once you know what your body's feeling, sit and observe it. Sit and observe it and breathe with it. Start to breathe and just start to become really present of those feelings and the sensations that you're feeling in your body. And most of the time when we do that, rather than try to escape what we're feeling, when we actually sit with it with love, this is such a self-love practice. Like I'm not going to run away from the me that's feeling angry and frustrated. I'm actually going to be with this me. And then often that feeling begins to dissipate because we've shown it some love and we've shown it some attention. And then we can come out of that meditation feeling more like, okay, all right, I felt this way, or I feel this way, and I can still show up. So yeah, for me, that's a really powerful thing to do in any moment that you're feeling feelings that are challenging, but especially with dating and relationships, when you're rejected or when things aren't quite working out the way you hope they would.
Love that. And so you mentioned you like to move and dancing, listening to music and things like that. So say if we were wanting to prepare prior to a date, what would be some of the things that we could do to get us into like a beautiful energy, a beautiful self-loving, worthiness kind of energy before a date?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to say put some songs on that make you feel really, really good. That just, your favorite tunes, the songs that you love to dance to, the songs that make you feel like a woman and really powerful. You might like some candles, some incense, and just like have a little dance, almost like a self-love dance. you might take off your clothes and do it naked. You might like do it in front of the mirror and really appreciate you. So almost like a ritual, like a self-love ritual, you know, like you're worshiping how incredible you are. And when we get into our bodies and when we move and when there's music, it shifts something in us, you know, that can shift your feelings so quickly. And so doing that before you go on a date, to just get into that loving kind of energy of yourself is super powerful. Yeah.
And what you've described, I guess it really is a practice for kind of falling in love with yourself, right?
Yeah, totally.
Do you have any other, I guess, tips or advice or techniques that we could perhaps do to facilitate further falling in love with ourselves?
Yeah, I think first of all, just almost what I said earlier again, knowing that this is something that we get to do every day, you know, every single decision that we make is an opportunity for us to love ourselves. When you're on that date and the guy asks you what restaurant you want to go to, don't just choose the one that you think he's gonna like you're like, what would, and I love this question, what would someone that loves themselves do right now? And check in with that. And it's like, what do I actually want to do? What are my needs? What do I actually want to voice? And you can do that with every single dating decision that you make. Check in, what would someone that loves themselves do right now, rather than someone that just wants to be liked by this person that's in front of me. So yeah, I really see every single interaction that we're in, every single decision that we can make, as an opportunity to practice self-love.
Thank you. And you have a beautiful gift for our audience as well. Tell us about your worthiness bundle and how women can find out more about self-love and a journey and experiencing more with you.
Yeah, so my free gift is my worthiness bundle. It includes a 60-minute worthy masterclass on all things feeling really worthy and feeling really powerful in your own skin. And it also includes a limiting beliefs ebook. So it's the process that I guide my clients through, to release their limiting beliefs, to release the lack of self-worth, and to begin to shift it into more empowering beliefs that really, really serve you in your relationships and in the rest of your life. So yeah, definitely grab that bundle if this work interests you. And if you're interested in kind of diving into more of this work with me, I have a group program called Release Your Radiance, which is all about essentially all of the things that we just talked about, all about coming home to your radiance, that like fire hot, powerful woman that resides within, tapping back into her, coming back to your essence and letting that really radiate out, because that is the thing that attracts your desires to you. So that's a group program, and I also have a one-to-one mentorship as well. So yeah, if you're interested in any of those things, then reach out to me. I'm on Instagram a lot. It's just my name, Sabi.Kerr, and I always love to chat there in the DMs. So more than happy to have any chats. Or if you've got any questions about this as well, or anything resonated with you, please drop me a message and let me know your takeaways.
Amazing, thank you. And everything will be linked up below, all of Sabi's socials, how to get access to her free gift, and also we'll include a link to Release Your Radiance program and how to get in touch with you as well. It's been really incredible to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our ladies or you'd like to add?
Yeah, I just think one small reminder, and it's just coming back continuously to the truth that you being the you as you exist right now is the greatest gift that you have to offer the world, to your potential partner, to your friends, to your work. When you show up as you, you give the person that's in front of you the opportunity to love the real you, right? Not some fake version of you. And that is all of our work here. That is all of our work here on this planet, on this earth, to show up as us and to be fully seen in, you know, our rawness, in who we are.
Thank you for that really, really powerful takeaway, Sabi. And thanks to all of you for joining us for today's Love Transformation class. And we'll see you all again tomorrow. Bye for now.